A little girl named Barbara is seen at the start of the film. She is preparing a red fluid, going to the forest. She pours out that red liquid at the distinct places of forest after preparing it. Then she hides at a place, going at a distance. It showed that she was trying to ensnare somebody. A dreadful hand is watched right after this, which touches this liquid. And Barbara was observing all of this. After this, Barbara's sister is presented, who was cooking for her sibs. Meanwhile, Barbara's brother was playing video game along with his friends. They were making a loud noise due to this. Barbara gets furious on account of this. And she turns off the video game. And she says, "You should save electricity. Don't waste your time." Barbara's brother gets aggressive for this cause. When Barbara's sister asks them for meal, her brother says that I needed meat at meal. Saying it, he moves away from there in angry mood. It is revealed here that Barbara's sister alone is fostering her siblings. Afterwards, it is seen when Barbara tries to go into upstairs room. Then she hears a mysterious sound from there. As a result, she is very frightened. And she runs away. Then Barbara puts a small hammer in her handbag's pocket. Later, Barbara is seen near a damaged train on the coming day. She draws a sign on that train. After this, she moves to a beach, where a girl named Sophia tries to talk with her, coming there. But Barbara was not taking interest in her conversation. And she was talking with that girl rudely. Next day, when Barbara is going to school, then she encounters Sophia once more. And she asks Barbara to get in the bus with her. But Barbara directly refuses her. When Barbara reaches school, then she begins to count her drawn signs. And her class teacher observes her actions. So she chases Barbara, because Barbara was behaving mysteriously. After this, when Barbara is taking her lunch, then a girl bullies, coming to her. And she also tries to tease her. Being irritated, Barbara spits her hand. So that girl is gone out of rage and she starts beating Barbara. Then the teacher of Barbara calls to her. So she is protected. Then Barbara who goes to her teacher. Her teacher treats her very politely. And she also tries to talk with Barbara. But Barbara also takes with her in a rigid manner. And she leaves that place. Now Barbara's teacher also feels bad on her behavior. After this, when Barbara is drinking water, then that bully girl again approaches there. And she again tries to hit Barbara. But Barbara was not fearing from her at all. Before it, that girl beats Barbara. Principal comes there. And he suspends that bully girl for a week after observing. After this, a side of beach is shown, where Sophia was also present along with Barbara. At this time, Barbara does not talk to her rudely. They had rather befriended now. And Sophia is very inspired by the boldness of Barbara, because she had confronted that bully girl fearlessly. After this, Barbara tells Sophia the story of giants. Who tells about that giant at the beginning, who had born before all giants. He was huge. He was alone, so he killed himself. Many giants generated from his body. There were some those giants who used to live in the snow. Secondly, there were also other giants who used to kill many people at a time. Third type of giants used top take bath with the blood of the kids. One type included those giants who are visible at that time. When other giants are nearly to proceed you. The most dangerous type is titans that thrill human beings if they only hear their voice. Sophia is very scared, hearing the story of Barbara. Barbara also tells her, I also create a trap to capture these giants. So those giants may be caught in my created trap. And I may kill them. Meanwhile, Barbara also tells her about the small hammer kept in her pocket. That hammer is made of the giant's bones. She will kill all giants with its help. It is known here that this hammer has to take out when its need arises. Meanwhile, Sophia notices a stated word Kovleski on Barbara's pocket. So she asks Barbara about it. Barbara tells her that Kovleski was a football player. Suddenly, Barbara notices many mysterious things in her surroundings. So she begins to move away. Sophia tries her best to stop her on it. But Barbara asks her to keep herself away from her. Because Barbara was sure that who comes to her, then he may face any type of loss. After this, when Barbara is crossing the forest, then she realizes the presence of giants there. So she tries to entrap that giant. But that giant runs away. After this, Barbara who comes back to her house. Then she again hears the sound of someone from the upstairs room. So she tries to go there, restoring her courage. But someone was also calling her there with this. Then an entity of a mysterious thing is also observed there. Witnessing it, Barbara is confused and she runs away. Next day, Barbara again meets her teacher. At this time, she talks with her teacher respectfully. It is known here that Barbara thinks that people are senseless. This is the cause that she does not talk with people too much. When Barbara is at school, then her pocket is opened mistakenly. The same pocket where she had kept that hammer. Seeing it, Barbara is very upset. Because she had to open the pocket when hammer is required. Barbara begins to run to the forest. Sophia also starts to run after her, witnessing it. When Barbara is searching for the giants, moving to the forest, then Sophia tries her best to explain to her that there is not such a thing. But Barbara does not listen her. After this, they find dead fawn there. Its body was distorted. Seeing it, Barbara understands that it has been victimized by the giant. But Sophia is scared, seeing it. And she flees, leaving Barbara alone there. After this, Barbara notices a giant who tells her, "You are a little girl and also weak, so you will never be able to face the giants alone. Because giants are coming soon." Hearing it, Barbara is frightened. In the next scene, Barbara and her teacher are seen. When her teacher talks about the baseball game, then Barbara is very saddened and she starts to cry. Now her teacher also tries to talk with her. But Barbara begins to move from there. Now her teacher starts to ask the questions from her again and again. Due to this, Barbara gets very angry and she slaps her teacher. And she runs away. Afterwards, it is seen that Barbara is so indulged in her imaginations. When Sophia tries to talk with her, then Barbara also pushes her down while punching. Now Sophia becomes very furious on it. And she runs from there. Afterwards, Barbara who moves to her house. Then her sister says to her, noticing her awkward behavior, "I want to help you. Just face it if someone teases you at school." But Barbara also ignores her. And she leaves from there. Now Barbara had punched Sophia. So that bully girl provokes Sophia against Barbara. And she also asks the secret of Barbara. Hearing it, Sophia takes her to that beach, where she often used to visit with Barbara. Reaching there, that bully girl spoils all the traps, which had been made by Barbara. Then Barbara also reaches there. And she gets furious, noticing that bully girl there. Barbara takes her hammer out to hit her. That girl is left shocked, seeing it, because it was just a small piece of bone. But before it that Barbara gets any understanding, that bully girl throws her while punching. Then the rest of friends of that girl also attack Barbara. They make her senseless, beating her too much. Barbara finds herself in the upstairs room when she restores her consciousness. Due to this, she is very scared. She checks that Sophia is standing out of the room. And she asks her, "Why have you brought me upstairs? Do you not know that there are the giants?" Hearing it, Sophia is afraid. She runs from there. Afterwards, Barbara moves to her teacher, coming out of her house in fear, where she tries to talk with her teacher. But her teacher could not focus her words, because she is engaged with her family. Then Barbara says to her, "Everyone is going to die." Hearing it, her teacher's husband gets aggressive. Barbara's teacher is also left shocked, knowing it. And she also tries to talk with her. But Barbara leaves that place without hearing her single word. Later, it is seen that Barbara is running alone in the forest to capture the giants. Then she sets the pointed sticks in her surroundings. Then she waits for the arrival of the giants. After this, Sophia is seen who moves to her teacher. And she leads her to Barbara's sister, because had not come to school for last 2 days. Hearing it, Barbara's sister is left astonished. After this, Sophia enters Barbara's house, where she finds a tape recorder. She knows, hearing it, that Kovaleski had defeated a team, and the defeated team by him, they were called giants. Kovaleski is same whose name had been noticed on Barbara's pocket by Sophia. After doing so, Kovaleski's name turned to Giant Killer. After it, it is seen when Sophia meets Barbara. Then Barbara shows her to anger on her, because Sophia had deceived her. And the things which were happening, it was happening because of Sophia. Now Barbara has not that hammer to stop the giants. Barbara again witnesses the same giant, which she had already seen. At this time, those giants threaten Barbara, and they ask her to come in the forest. When Barbara reaches that damaged train, where giants try to attack her, but she activates her signs with the help of the electricity, so that place catches fire, and all giants are killed there. Meantime, Sophia also comes there, and she is worried, seeing the burning train, and she asks Barbara about it. She tells, that I have rescued all of you while doing so. After this, she goes from there. Next day, it is seen that the weather of whole city is not right. and it is predicted in the news of breaking out the storm. Meanwhile, Barbara's sister receives her letter, in which Barbara apologizes her sister. At the same time, Barbara's sister also receives the call of her sister's teacher, who asks her about Barbara. Then her sister tells, Barbara is not at home. After this, Barbara is seen who is at the same beach in the rain. Her teacher also reaches there, who asks her to come back to house. But Barbara refuses to go with her. And she says that I have to finish my work, because giants are coming. And I also have not hammer to stop them. It is seen here that Barbara's teacher reminds her about her mother. She asks her to go to the house. It is known here. In fact, Barbara's mother is ill. So her teacher asks her to face it. But Barbara again runs from here as before. Then she reaches the beach where she encounters Sophia. It is also raining cats and dogs. Barbara hides Sophia in a small built house there, and she gets ready to face the giants alone. Then a giant attacks Barbara. Then she observes a ray of light, emitting from her pocket. There is hammer when she opens that pocket, which was real. Then she says to the giant, "You will never be able to harm my mother." Then Barbara attacks that giant with that hammer. That giant is inured with its light. Afterwards, it is seen that giant says to Barbara very politely, "I have come here to take you, not your mother." Hearing it, Barbara is very shocked. And she says to him, "But I defeated you." Barbara comes to know here that she cannot rescue her mother with her will. Due to this, Barbara is gone out of rage. Meanwhile, that giant lifts Barbara in his hand, and he tries to eat her. But Barbara again attacks him with the help of her hammer. Due to this, that giant remains unsuccessful to eat her. And that giant also returns back. Due to this, the condition of the city had turned better. Then Sophia calls Barbara many times, coming outside. At the same time, Barbara is drowning into the water. And she is also hearing the voice of giant at the same time, who is saying her, "One day, everyone will have to die. Until you have time, you should live your each moment in such a way that as it is the last moment of your life." Barbara's hope of life is again reawakened. So she comes out of the water. After this, Barbara moves to upstairs, restoring her courage. It is seen here that there is no anyone else in this room but her mother, whose condition is worst. It means that she is very sick. She is very excited, seeing Barbara there, because she was thinking that she will never be able to meet Barbara again. After this, Barbara apologizes her mother because of her misbehavior. Some days later, where Barbara's mother had died. Consequently, Barbara is very dejected, and she starts to weep. After this, when she is in her room, then she hears the voice of someone from outside. When she peeps through the window, then she sees that there was no one else but the same giant, who had perhaps come to see Barbara, in order to check, either Barbara is all right after her mother or not. Then Barbara tells him, as being a sentimental, that I am all right. Later, that giant leaves from there. And the movie completes on this scene.